Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Jimmy Wong. A very good afternoon to you. Well, before I jump into the presentations and my content, I'll just give a broad, a brief introduction of my background. I graduated with a first degree in marketing. It was back in the 90s. First job was a sales engineer, and in fact, I've been sales and marketing for all this time before I switched track to be an academician. So I still remember my last job was with Johnson & Johnson. I was in actually a salesman selling pharmaceutical products. And then slowly I moved on into marketing. And thereabout in year 2003, in similar situation as now, as when the SARS pandemic hit, I went to complete my MBA with the intention of actually being a consultant. Of course, I got distracted. And that's when I started doing research, right? And I went on to do a PhD in consumer psychology. And I was in the US, also in Australia, teaching in various universities. It was back in 2015 that I finally came back to Singapore. And at that time, that's when I started teaching various subjects such as consumer behavior, marketing research, and the most interesting one is social media marketing. So when I was given the opportunity to talk about creating a social media ecosystem for SMEs, I thought I would like to come on board to kind of share my insights. After all, most of the workshops I've done with companies such as Lazada is actually targeted at SMEs. So I do hope that members of the audience who are working for SMEs or owners of SMEs who's listening in, you'll be able to benefit from some of the information that I'll be sharing. Okay, so I think in recent months we are replete, right, with news, online news about Singapore government helping out SMEs to transform their business digitally, right? So if you Google digital transformation, you see a lot of content online, and of course, there will be a lot of information out there on how various SMEs are able to kind of transform and how great their businesses has been. But it's not always a bed of roses, right? So there are a lot of companies out there who say, I did something, I have transformed, but nothing seems to be happening, and so in fact, some of them saying that it's not working out for them. This is a news article I took from Straits Times. Okay, if you can actually have the time to actually Google that title and have a read, you actually see some of the reasons why there are delays and some failures. So again, this backdrop, so this is the reason why I want to bring up various topics. And that is for today, I just want to introduce a simple notion of a social media ecosystem, right? And then I want to go on further to talk about how do you implement this ecosystem to help in the digital transformation process for SMEs. I tend to root for the smaller guys because I think multinational companies do have a lot of resources. So whatever content I'm going to talk about is actually based on the experience I have working with SMEs, talking to SME owners. Okay, and the last bullet point, I also like to help some of my students here to gain some exposure because they have been working with some of the SMEs, and two of the projects will be kind of like showcase to talk about how they help, how the newer generation can actually help SME owners implement some of the digital transformation. I'm going to start with, something boring first, definition of digital transformation, because I think it's important for SME owners to kind of differentiate the difference in meaning between digital transformation and digital implementation. Transformation, in fact, digital transformation is the process of using digital technologies to create, now mark the three keywords, to create new processes, culture, as well as customer experience to change, to meet changing businesses and market requirements, right? So in fact, there's a saying that digital transformation is not just about the technology. In fact, digital transformation is more about the people. So in other words, if you're an SME and you're out there saying that, you know what, I have a Lazada platform, okay, I'm on Shopee, I have transformed. You have not. You have, however, implemented, okay, a digitization process. You have not really transformed. So I'm not saying that, okay, well, if that's the case, everybody should just, stop what they're doing, but it's not true. But I just want to emphasize that you need to manage expectation. Just because you have an additional channel to process business, right, for your operations, it doesn't mean you have transformed. So if SME owners really want to transform, they need to start from themselves to change their own SMEs culture. And also the other thing is focus not just on selling, but focus on enhancing customer experiences. This is something I created on my own, because when I was looking at the various information out there online to talk about, what are all the different social media platforms, I find something lacking is that everyone talks about a particular channel. But what if you put all the channels together, right? 2 channels, I'll just cite, for example, if you use Facebook page, you use Instagram account to promote your business, then it's no longer 1 + 1 = 2. You have an interaction effect. You create a very small ecosystem. No matter how small it is still an ecosystem, and you will see the benefits coming in if you know how to link them up together. All right. And this particular slide here, okay, the focus is on, again, saying creating a seamless customer experience, right? I've shown this picture for various workshops I conducted. One of them is actually I've conducted for with the insurance sector. I've conducted this for NTUC. The materials you see most of the time in these various slides, in fact, is a crash course, a condensed course of a 2-day workshop conducted between SUSS and Lazada for e-commerce platform sellers. So what I normally recommend is that, okay, you have various social media platforms out there, know the nature of each of these platforms, but most importantly, don't just think of multi-channel. Think of an omni-channel approach in linking all of them up to create a unified voice, right? So I put in the middle of this picture here, you have a Wix website. I'm not selling for Wix, but I just conveniently put it there. But you can have other forms of websites that you can create for yourself. Some SMEs, frankly speaking, up to now, doesn't have a website to begin with. They may have a Facebook page. So if you link up, and you notice all the double arrows, red color double arrows, right? So if you link them, all of them up, and create a system in which you are everywhere, okay, catering to a broad range of customer profiles, you start to see that the returns is more than just investing on single channel social media. And how does that kind of overlap with digital transformation? Because a lot of SMEs, when they talk about digital transformation, which actually they're looking at, what they're doing is digital implementation. They're only looking at one snapshot, one single channel. But the minute you start having multiple channels, you start to get really busy. You're going to get really overwhelmed. So you need to kind of make all the platforms work seamlessly for you and for the customer as well. And there's also one thing that we talk about, which I don't think I have time to really go deep into, which is, explained during the workshop, is on social media advertising and tracking. That is one way to kind of look at, the efficacy of linking all your various media. Don't worry, at the end of this, I will also showcase an example of a company whom I've been tracking for the past 5 years, and I'll showcase how successful they have been. Now, to appreciate what this ecosystem is, we'll need to know a little bit about what the social media platform, the channels are. And to understand those channels, we need to kind of bring in what you call understanding of your various concepts. The first thing I want to talk about is this, which is basically generation cohort, age cohort factors. Anyone in the audience is between age 56 to 73 years old right now, you are classified as the baby boomer. I'm a Generation X, I'm an Xer. Right? My age is between 40 to 55. A lot of people out there is in the millennial cohort, Generation Y, 24 to 39. And if you're still thinking that millennials are young, well, they're still young. I mean, they're not that old, but millennials typically now are out of school already. They are already working. They start from 24 to 39. In fact, if you want to go deep, there are actually 2 sub-generations of millennial, which is Generation Y. We've got the Y1, Y2. Okay, so the older generation is the Y1, leaning towards 39 years old. There's a generation Y2, which is younger, okay, who maybe just fresh school leavers. Then there's a cohort, which is Generation Z, which is an age group between 8 to 23. And one group which a lot of marketers have not really looked into, or which is the children of Generation Y, millennials kids, Generation Alpha, less than 7 years old. And if you're going to map it out, across the timeline, in consumer behavior studies, why do we love to kind of look into each cohort? Is because in each of these cohort, there is always iconic events that define us. I'm a Generation X. I'm raised up as a teenager during the time where Madonna was still a teenager. Michael Jackson hasn't bleached his skin yet. So that is iconic to me. And at that, our generation is defined by video, MTV. We watch videos. So each generation have their own taste and preference when it comes to social media too, right? So once you understand that, then you start to realize that social media, what is social media? And the way of describing social media is there are basically different magazines that you see. See, I'm using the word magazine. I don't think the newer generation will look at magazines anymore. So, but bear with me. If you go to, Holland Village at the corner, I still remember there's a huge magazine store. Social media, different social media channels are like you going to a magazine store. Different magazines on the rack. You pick the magazine that interests you. You read up on that. That's as crude as it is. Okay. Now, another concept that is useful to know for owners is that social media is here to stay in the digital economy. I don't have the pointer here, but just bear with me. This is the age breakdown of social media user. For those currently, which is between 13 to 18 years old, about 81% of them are already on social media. And you move on to the next phase, next group of people, 18 to 29, 89% of them are using social media. I'm in a group of 30 to 49. According to this website has said, about 78. Then you start to see the numbers going down. 50 to 64, 60%. 65 plus, you have 43%. I usually pop this question during my workshop back then. And they will probably say, oh, there's a going down trend. So it's sad, right? Well, this chart here is taken as a cross-sectional analysis of social media user. You must understand, people use social media for three main reasons, and this is very important. People do not use social media to buy SME product, to watch advertisement. No, they use social media because they want to be entertained. Okay, they want to connect with friends. That's why it's social. And the last part of it is, the last bit of it is to receive information. Three main reasons. Never really to go on social media to watch advertisement. It's not part of that. Not unless your advertisement is informative, then you'll treat it as a form of information and you'll watch it. But coming back to this chart, it seems that there's a downward trend, but I won't ask a question because I don't think you can respond. But you look at it, for the group of people who is in the 18 to 29 years old batch, when they move to the batch to become 30 to 49, would the figure drop from 89% to 78%? No, it will not. It will maintain at 89. If not, it might even go up further. Why? Because you use social media to connect, to be entertained. So would you stop reading certain magazines just because you grew older? Or if it's something like a hobby to you, you'll sustain it. So this chart, as we progressed, it will not come down. My belief that it will go up and maintain and plateau off. And eventually it will just keep at that progression. Because those in 65 plus, they will pass away. Those 50 to 64, when they move on, they become 65, their figure of 60%, they will maintain because they already have their social circle of friends who are on that particular social media platform because they're connecting with each other, socializing with each other. So it will not come down. Why is this important then? But just to show that social media is here to stay. And if SME wants to progress to the future in 5 to 10 years' time, the future of work, the future of business for SMEs is you cannot escape the fact that you have to digitize. And with that, there is more than just digital implementation. You need to transform. This is one chart I'd like to show because a lot of people, they'll say, especially my students in class, they say that, you know what, your generation, right? Your Facebook is only meant for my parents. They are no longer on Facebook. But this is a worldwide data based on January 2020 figures. Facebook is still very much up there. Okay, now I can't argue that there is a possibility of Facebook, that bar to be shorter in future, but it seems like it's going to be is here to stay. And very interesting, the second social media platform, YouTube, is the second largest search engine online, first being Google. YouTube now is no longer just for entertainment, it's for information search, right? And then you run down the list, the last one, Kuaishou. Okay, something to share. When I started teaching social media 2015, my set of slides are very simple. And I realized that this is the most difficult thing to teach because every quarter when I do that workshop, right, I need to constantly update my slides. Kuaishou was never there. When I started digital social media marketing classes, I don't really even talk about TikTok or Douyin, and now it's up there. Right? So it's always changing, constantly changing. So I always tell my colleague, teaching practical social media marketing is actually a very difficult thing and tedious stuff, right? But also the good thing is that it keeps you at the tip of the sword, right? It keeps you at the edge of it, right at the tip. You know what's happening. This is a slide. Okay, the previous one is on a worldwide basis. This current one focuses on Singapore. And you look at it, the chart, the peak, the 25 to 34% in both of it. Okay, on the left side, it's you have the Facebook usage among 4 over million users in Singapore. Right side, you have about 2 over million of Instagram users in Singapore. And you see that there's a huge proportion of millennials, 25, overlapping with the younger generation X's, between 25 years old to 44, still very much on Instagram and Facebook. So which is why subsequently, when my students take over the presentation to talk about their role in their companies they're working with right now, they focus mainly still on, the focus is still mainly on Facebook and Instagram. I can't guarantee this in another 5 years because I suspect that TikTok will take over as well as Telegram, okay? Here are some truths about social media marketing. There is what you call a mere presence effect. If you run a business, an SME business, if a consumer cannot find you online, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, or a website, there's no social proof of your capability. We're not even talking about your presence as in, are you even there? But it's a signal that you're not good enough. Because it's almost a sign that if you're not up to date, what are you? How come you're not up to date? Why are you not moving along with what is required in the modern digital world? There will be such a perception. Even you eat zi cha, okay, Chinese cooked food, those where they whip up a huge meal. People want to see you online too. At the minute you have a very nice website talking about the story behind your food, telling stories about who you are and things like that, people enjoy it. Remember, social media is about entertainment, engagement. Social media is not about you, a company trying to sell their products. Okay, so company needs to understand that. In fact, recently, I just moved to a new place, so I'm in the market for furniture. First time I bought a piece of furniture without even looking at the furniture. First time I bought a furniture, the company is called 42, by the way. They do not even have a physical store. Why? Because when companies have a physical store, I will go ahead and have a look. There's a building called Tan Boon Let Building. Okay, Tan Boon Let Building is like a warehouse. They sell a lot of furniture, and a lot of online furniture stores, so-called online furniture store, has warehouse there. But the website is very good. But I went to the warehouse, actually check out the warehouse. I was taken back. I said, wow, okay, so the website is really pretty. The warehouse cannot make it. So things may change in the future that eventually people might actually trust you more with your online presence than the physical store. But it doesn't mean that retail is dead. That will be for another occasion when we talk about omni-channel marketing. Okay. Now let's move on. In terms of advertising, marketing, Facebook owns IG. Facebook owns Instagram. So if you're advertising and marketing yourself on Facebook, it is very easy to cross over to Instagram. And based on the chart I showed you just previously, a huge proportion of users in Singapore is still very much on IG and Facebook. Granted, people my generation, some of them are using Facebook more than IG. But there are the younger generation, my niece and nephews, they are very IG prone. They post usually on IG, cross post to Facebook, but they seldom check their Facebook account. For parents out there, okay, I don't mean to, as in, I think it'd be good tonight evening when your kids is seated at the dining table with you, ask them, son, daughter, I heard that, most of the teenagers nowadays have got ghost IG accounts. Ask them whether they've got ghost IG accounts, right? See whether their eyes open up, okay? So they have got multiple personas on IG, keeping their teenage life aside and things like that. So how do you then, as a marketer, reach out to those ghost accounts? How do you reach out to the real people with the real particular subcultural interests? These are some things that you have to look into as well. Affordability. Doing a recent card game with one of my close friends said that social media advertising is getting expensive and really more expensive than traditional advertising. In some ways, I agree, but most often than not, I will beg to differ. All right. Traditional marketing, you wrap up a bus, okay, and at the bus, you wrap it up. I still remember outside SUSS Clementi Road, bus service 184. There is once a bus with a local company selling cooking oil, wraps up the whole bus cooking oil. I wonder how much that costs. So deep down inside, I was thinking, if you want to spend money to wrap up a bus to get the entire package with an agency, you probably spend around maybe what, $10,000 to $15,000 for the entire campaign. So I asked myself, if you spend just $1,000 per month on social media advertising, picking the right people to push the ad out to the right segment of consumers, I think you could be more effective. So social media marketing allows you to laser target, micro target the segment that you want. Okay, by picking, as you go through the advertising channels, you get to actually choose based on characteristic, lifestyle, okay, AIO, activities, interest, and opinion. Based on that, you can actually choose the type of people that will see your ad. Yes, what I meant is this. Your parents, okay, say again, in a family, there are different users of social media. Only some of them with the right age profile will get to see the ad. And this is what it means by efficiency. So in terms of affordability and efficiency, I think social media advertising is the way to go as well. Okay, I've briefly mentioned this. Each platform is unique in its own way. I'll run through, some of this. Instagram, they're photo specific. There was a period of time when Instagram doesn't have videos, but now they allow you to upload videos. They've got IGTVs. It was actually meant to compete with YouTube. YouTube has got video, specific videos. They're longer now. They can go up to, in fact, you can upload an entire movie. Second largest online search engine. Now, think about the profile of users across the two of them and the purpose. Attention span is going to be really short on Instagram. So if you're going to launch a product, what nature of the product, okay, are you going to talk about on Instagram if it's going to be photo specific? What about on YouTube? You are given more slack to explain a little bit more. So what kind of content will you put on YouTube? Facebook, you can share through IG. There's an efficiency there. There's also photos and videos. Now for Facebook, there's slightly higher involvement because people on Facebook tends to give, it's not as photo intensive. They give you time and to bother to read through some of the description. Not on Instagram. Usually Instagram, it's a swipe. Facebook, because I will think that every age of Facebook user is slightly older, they tend to have more patience. Okay, LinkedIn as well. A lot of people overlook using LinkedIn as a form of marketing, as a marketing platform. If you're in B2B context, LinkedIn marketing is extremely useful, and you can share across to Facebook various photographs and video as well. And there is a different kind of involvement here when it comes to LinkedIn. There's slightly more professional kind. So if you're having a LinkedIn profile, I've seen some colleagues and friends on LinkedIn profile, they show their picture and they are holding their kid, holding their pet dog or cat. So that's actually a no-no. You have to understand what is LinkedIn for. It's not too casual. The minute you do such a thing, you are showcasing a different signal that you do not comprehend what is the point of LinkedIn. Website. Many people say website is passé. I don't need website. I've got Facebook, I've got social media. I don't need website at all. Again, I beg to differ depending on what industry you're from. Website is the main landing page. If you can manage to draw your customers to come into the website, it means that that customer has an intention. Ask yourself, when you search on social media, you're searching for fun. But when you Google a product online, there is purchase intention. And if I come to your website, there's this idea called a sales funnel, which means that this customer has went down a little bit deeper in that sales funnel. That is intention. So your website can have more content, more words. Okay, that website is the main landing page across all your platforms. That's how I position the website. There is maximum involvement here. So I don't think website is obsolete. Website to me, I think is still very important. Just that, you can't dump everything there. It can't be just an information dump. It has to be crafted. TikTok is a rising star in social media influence. A lot of people are not on TikTok yet because I think I would say that a lot of people of my generation, Gen Zs, even the boomers, they think that TikTok is nonsense. right? It's just teenagers doing comical stuff for over 15 seconds, and then that's it. But most social media platforms started not being, not taken seriously by marketers. But as it evolved, it will evolve for TikTok, right? It will become more and more informative. It will transform, okay? And God knows what kind of other forms of social media channels will pop up after TikTok. There will not be an end. Remember the entire cohort age, Generation Z, then you've got Generation Alpha. I don't know what comes after Generation Alpha, maybe Generation Bravo. Each cohort will have its own iconic social media platform that will differ. And each of these platforms, as they move across down that, generation, down the age path, they will evolve as well. So it is important for social media marketers, SME owners, if you want to play the digital game, you need to be at that forefront to be sensitive to this as well. Okay. At this point, I've talked about the first one. People use social media for fun, entertainment, information gathering. Just to reiterate that implications for marketers is that social media is for you to engage, for you to make friends, for you to tell stories. This is the content. This is the part where we talk about content marketing. Okay. In all your content on social media, 80% should be focused on engagement, which means that the content you put up there must be interesting, informative. Okay. It must help people solve a problem. It could be as simplest thing and as how to transform your desk to be an automated standing desk, just for fun. 20% will be the part whereby you're implicitly advertising or selling a product. If you do that, use that philosophy, you have a higher chance of people following you. SME tends to think that social media is an advertising channel. They don't focus on their own platform. They just simply pushed. But the problem is that is not sustainable. You should focus on storytelling. Tell a story. Focus on brand building. When I mentioned these 2 points, a lot of SME owners in the chat, they will start asking, okay, that's not realistic. I'm striving for survival. My goal in business, if you know the 3 goals I put it there, is on acquisition. I need to acquire businesses so that they can buy from me. That's acquisition. Once customer buy it the first time, I want to make them buy from me again. That is growth. So there is a actually ongoing circle. By the way, I took this chart from a Facebook executive, all right? So companies tend to focus on acquisition, coming down to growth, and then they go back to acquisition. They skip brand awareness. Why? Because brand awareness is not the low-hanging fruit. Brand awareness is something that I invest something now, I may or may not see a return. And most SME owners that I'm not going to be storytelling. That's not going to make me any customers as well. But brand awareness is important. Storytelling is about digital branding. There is a difference. If you focus on acquisition and growth, you're focused on selling, but not focusing on marketing. A lot of people actually do not understand the difference between marketing and selling. You sell a product, but you market a dream, you market a story, you market a brand name. That runs that journey is further and more sustainable, to be honest. Because if you focus on acquisition and growth, what are you competing on? You're competing on price most of the time. How successful do you think will be if you compete on price on Q10, on Lazada, just simply trying to be the best seller in terms of price, but not in terms of gaining trust? So this is something where SME owners need to understand. And when they do social media marketing, while in the process of transforming themselves and implementing digital process such as selling, okay, they need to understand that that's one part, but the other part is that you need to invest on brand building as well. Okay. This is borrowed from SkillsFuture, Singapore's Futures Office. Okay. As my students will showcase their experience, I need you to kind of focus right now. I know this is complicated, right? This is called the 4B framework. Do not look at all the rest. Just focus on that buy, build, borrow, and bought. For SMEs, I typically recommend focusing on the borrowing and building. What do you mean by that? Buying. I use SUSS for example. Back in the days when SUSS was still called Sim University, we never had a social media team at all. But because we are a large entity, we do have resources from MOE after we changed names and the help and expertise coming in. We buy. What do you mean by that? We created a department. okay, a comms department whereby we bring in, we employ, we talent hunt. That's called buying. SME typically may not have that or ability or resources, or they may not actually want to jump into that deep end. Bot, okay, is using chatbot, using AI, okay, human machine augmentation. To me, that is also a little bit of the deep end. SMEs who doesn't have that expertise, I would suggest, no, don't go there. However, I will ask them to focus on borrow and build. Borrow, if you look at under borrow, under the implementation part, you talk about partnership, you talk about outsourcing, you're talking about gig work. What I've tried to do here is to bridge my students as part of the internship and attachment with these small medium enterprises. That is called borrowing. You're paying them $1,000 a month as interns. These are the young people who are savvy in social media. They know exactly how it can be done. I put in my expertise in trying to help and guide them to create the ecosystem. That is called the borrowing. But as I go through, as they explain what they've been doing, I don't know if the two companies' owners are among my audiences right now. If they are, I hope they can listen in. My concern is this: once my students end their attachment, okay, when the borrowing session ends, okay, the building part may collapse. Why? Building is when SME owners learn the skill set themselves, or they dedicate part of their team to learn. That is called building. If you do not develop in-house capabilities, the initial phase, okay, of setting up, of the implementation is going to crumble. In fact, out of the two companies, one of them, the hardware store, which my students be talking about, the hardware store actually invested quite a fair bit of money prior to COVID. They do see the need to transform. They invested in consulting companies, but I think the companies didn't emphasize the part on building. So much so that they have a website, but it was not maintained. The worst thing about having different social media sites and that you don't maintain. What do you mean by that? When people come onto social media, they want to be entertained. But if you go back to the same channel and it have the same content as last week, and then they come back 2 weeks later, it's still the same thing. They will never come back. You are just wasting your money creating a website. They never come back. Okay? So remember, I used the analogy of a magazine, that each individual social media platform is like a magazine. Magazines, every quarterly or every monthly, they have a new issue, right? So this is also what I meant. Social media is like a digital magazine. People come to entertain. So if you borrow, invested that amount of money, and asking this younger generation to help you set up an ecosystem, but you do not invest in learning, building your own internal capability, then it becomes episodic. It is not a strategy at all. It's not that at the end of the day, there will not be a transformation. There will still be just an implementation, and you stop there. That could very well be the reason why most SMEs have a lot of problem. At this point, I also want to highlight something. For SME owners, the most common excuses I hear about their inability to catch up is, I have no time, right? SME owners, I might create some enemies here, okay? SME owners tends to feel that rather proud whenever they tell me, you know what, SME owner is one leg kick. One leg kick meaning, you do everything yourself. Everything is, goes through you. You are hardworking. You work from morning to night, blood and sweat. Yes, I understand. Okay. The hardware store owner, when I went to the warehouse, I saw him doing stock check on the car park floor under the sun. So I asked myself, can all this time be spared? Can someone else do it instead so that owners get to reflect, strategize? At this point in time, okay, quite nice. Q&As only have 2 questions. Okay, I'm not flooded with criticism yet, because most of them say that you do not know what life is as an SME owner. I sympathize, I empathize, I agree. But it's a catch-22 situation. If you do not plug yourself out and give yourself time to contemplate, to reflect, you will never strategize. Remember the circle I talked about a couple of slides ago? You'll be always in that vicious cycle of acquiring, growth, but not a lot. They move away, customer don't buy second time, you come back to acquire again. That is that vicious cycle of making small, medium enterprise remain small and medium-sized. You need to kind of like break that vicious cycle to start looking at brand awareness. Ask yourself, SME to become LLE, large local enterprises. Okay, SME that transform itself to become LLE. Do their bosses really still go down to the factory floor? They will tell you they still go down to the factory floor and the operation floor to know what is it like. But they typically either do it for PR purpose, or they will not get their hands dirty because they see value in strategizing, in learning, in building, and sparing resources. Careful use of resources. Don't spend $10,000 on the bus wrap. Okay, use that $10,000 for some other things. I'm not trying to say that we abuse internship students because I mentioned that it's actually considered borrow. Okay, but internship students do need that exposure as well to build the experience, to build that hands-on thing. They have all the concept. They have their natural ability and savviness when it comes to social media, and they are digital natives. Let them do their work for you, and you learn from them, right? So this is what I try to tell a lot of the SMEs. Focus on borrowing and building. Buying and investment on board for the time being, just put it aside because that takes a lot of expertise as well as resources. Okay, focusing on the time. Okay, this is the ecosystem. So I'll jump straight to giving you an example. Again, I am in no way related to Property Brothers, but somehow I use them as my first case study when I started teaching social media marketing. They were really very simple at, in terms of their operation, social media operations back then in 2016. All right, but now their website, this is their website. They have got, remember I said, it is an info vault. They've got hashtag investor to teach you how to invest. They have got, talking about blog page about renovation. It's an information site. And you look at the right side, it says, we are not just selling homes. We are selling a dream. I always tell that to my students. In marketing, you don't sell products. We try to sell a dream. Okay? I know a lot of people say, wow, so much fluff. Do we really buy because of this? Not really. I came here, remember, for entertainment, for information. I come here because I want to know how they actually film their beautiful property videos. They have a YouTube channel. This YouTube channel on the right side is circled. Okay, that's called a social bar. Just because you have a YouTube channel and a social bar doesn't mean that you have a social media ecosystem. There's more hard effort. There's more effort in that. You need to link them up. This is a YouTube site. Okay, if you click video, which I've circled in red, okay, you see the main page of all their videos. The one which, this is just from a few days ago. Top left, tannery. Again, I'm not selling their property for them. I'm just using this as a case in point. If you click that, what you see is a very nice, professionally done video. In the workshop, I'll also talk about videography. It is important because gone are days whereby you just take a smartphone, you try to film yourself, right? Okay, and then your camera shakes all over. That is actually quite bad, all right? Younger generation, they're very good in that. They're competing themselves against themselves on TikTok. So imagine the value add if you can get some of it to help you for social media, for small SME owners. At the bottom part of that video, this is where the linkages is created. There is a bit.ly link. I have no time to explain what a bit.ly link is. It's an external company to help shorten your URL. Okay? And sometimes URL can be quite long and looks very complicated and looks very ugly. Okay? But if you use a bit.ly link, it's actually shortened. Once you click that bit.ly link, it'll bring you to the website. On the website, consistency is important. There is always the manager's name, the picture, and the video again down there. All right? And if you go over the Facebook page, once again, tannery, because it was the latest property, tannery will pop up. And on the right is actually the information. Once you see the two links there, the same bit.ly link was there, and there's also a YouTube link. Click the YouTube, it'll bring you back to the very first YouTube channel that I've shown you. This is their Instagram. Instagram, interestingly, for every single property, Property Brothers will spread 3 across the entire channel, across row. The first one is actually IGTV. It's a video post, okay? But it's on the IGTV channel. Instagram itself has their own mini ecosystem. They have their stories, they have got IGTVs, they've got their feed. Younger generation knows exactly what I'm talking about. They know how to create an ecosystem within the ecosystem. So they even know how to hack the system. You do not need to pay for a swipe up function when you post on Instagram story. So you've got IGTV, you've got a regular post feed, which is in the middle, right? There's a 3D tour. The right side, there's an IG video feed. Different people like to look at different things, even within Instagram. So this is meant to cater to different needs. They are also on LinkedIn, they're on TikTok, and recently they are on Telegram. Someone will tell me that, of course, they have an entire team, a 12-man team, managing their social media effort. Yes, but understand they didn't start from there from day one. It's accumulated over 8-9 years. If I'm not wrong, they're actually in this market for maybe even more than that. Right? So I don't want to do them injustice. So they have been around for very long, but you need to start from somewhere. But however, what they've done well here is that they have integrated the whole thing together. I've not even go deep into the usage of hashtags and how to use hashtag to create a web to cover up the entire ecosystem so that it is seamless. Anywhere you go, if you're a user of IG, Facebook, YouTube, you will see them in a seamless, unified fashion. That is digital transformation. It is strategized, it is deliberate. Right, so I'm going to hand over to my students, but before that, 3 main takeaways, right, for listeners who are among the members of the audience right now. Digital implementation is merely the implementation of technology, okay, to enhance business processes. You have a 直销 store, you sell on e-commerce without any marketing. That is the most basic form of implementation, but that is not transformation. Transformation about creating value, and it starts from the owners themselves, creating right work culture. Second, very important, social media ecosystem is meant to build relationship. It's for engagement. Remember the 80-20 rule. You want to post something on social media, make sure 80% is about entertainment, for fun and information. 20% can be implicitly about your product, your company, your service. Last but not least is you have to start from somewhere. Okay, Property Link Brothers didn't achieve the current level of power in terms of social media marketing from day one. They start small, but I urge SMEs, start soon. Remember the 2B, you borrow and you build, must build. Borrowing is easy. Sometimes, government give a lot of grant, borrow, but most owners forget to build. Okay, so on that note, I'm gonna hand over to Yiling and Roy. Okay, I'm gonna let them share the screen, and they're gonna take you through their journey with the hardware store I was talking about. Yiling and Roy, your turn.
Okay, just give me a minute.
Right.
Oh, are you able to see the slide?
Yeah.
Okay. You can start now.
Hi everyone, I'm Roy and this is my teammate Yiling. First off, we are thankful for this opportunity to be able to present our digitization journey in this brown bag series. So we are currently both working for the SME to help develop their social media ecosystem, and we'll be sharing about our plans and preparation work for this SME thus far. So all this began with the SME. They told us that they want to have an online presence so that they can start generating revenue online. So this, as you can see, this is us visiting their store and their warehouse before we actually officially started working for them. The picture at the left, you can see is the retail store with 2 stories high. They are mainly selling homeware and kitchenware with over 10,000 products. Whatever kitchenware you name it, they have it. The other 2 pictures you can see, Yiling and I are actually doing our research. We were pending down thoughts and combing through the products available in their retail store. They sell mainly B2B kitchenware. But for us, we actually shortlist suitable products to list and sell online. And of course, these products that we chose has to fit our brand concept. And the last picture you can see is actually their warehouse. We were able to see firsthand experience of how actually SME handle the logistics, the packaging, and so on. So overall, it's actually a very interesting visit. This is our business plan. We will simply build a website and to raise awareness for the new brand. Then we are direct all our customer traffic from our website to our chosen e-commerce platform, which we have chosen to be Lazada for checking out and making payment. The reason why we chose the e-commerce platform Lazada is because it is well known and it has a steady flow of customers on the platform every second. It is specialized, more secure, and convenient in that sense. It is also relatively lower in cost as compared to using the SME's delivery team, which they might be already very busy. And furthermore, Lazada has a very good tracking system for customers to trace their packages. Customers might also already have their existing accounts with their preferred payment methods on the e-commerce platform. So customers might also be skeptical on, about putting their credit cards online due to frauds, and customers might find it a hassle to register on new websites. So these customers, they actually prefer to go to convenient platforms such as e-commerce, where they can find everything all in one place. Right below you can see is our social media ecosystem. It actually consists of a website, e-commerce, and a social media platform. So we have chose the website to be Wix, the e-commerce to be Lazada, and social media platform to be Facebook and Instagram, which I will explain later on. The highlight here is to explain that, you know, the traffic flow will be from both website and social media down to the e-commerce Lazada, which I have spoken earlier. The customers will actually view our e-commerce store on Lazada to get more information, and finally to check out and purchase our products. Now I'll talk about our SME digitization roadmap. It consists of the 3 M's, which are mapping, making, and marketing. Firstly, I'll begin with mapping stage. It's basically the overview stage of what we intend to do for this SME. In this stage, we brainstorm about the branding concept, and we also validated it with our friends or family who fit our customer persona. For example, people who cook at home. And with all this information, we are able to come up with suitable marketing content that appeals to our audience. Next is the making stage, which we are currently at. We are in the midst of building our website. In this stage, we will also create social media accounts such as Facebook and Instagram, which Yiling will cover later on. At the same time, we will ensure that our photo booth equipment, they are all in place so that we can proceed for photo shooting. And these photos will eventually be uploaded on our website and social. They have to be very striking, very appealing to attract our customers. So how we do all this is actually we have our own in-house photo booth, and we actually hands-on everything. We buy all the equipment. Yeah. Okay, lastly, the final stage is a marketing stage. After our website and social media are ready, we'll perform a digital advertising to attract people to generate sales on our online channel. With that being said, our end goal is not just to generate sales, but to gain customer loyalty through building relationship with them and constantly providing them valuable and relevant information through our newsletter, that kind of thing. Yeah, so we ultimately want to convert our customers into brand advocates, possibly champions, to help us generate earn media through positive word of mouth. How we decided to choose Wix as our preferred website builder is based on online reviews. So we actually narrowed down our choice to just Wix and Shopify amongst the other website builders, is because we realized that they are the most popular and reliable e-commerce platforms. Eventually, we realized that Wix suits us best because we have less than 100 of products to sell, whereas for Shopify, they recommend for online sellers who have more than 1,000 products, and they should start creating. They would use Shopify. In addition, Wix is actually the easiest to use. It has the greatest flexibility, more features and themes than the other platforms. More features and themes is actually the most important to us because it allows us to beautify our website better, since our sole aim of having an online website is to raise awareness of our brand among the public. Over here shows a typical website that is transactional, with no branding, and seems very cold. You can see the navigation tabs are actually vertical down, and the drop down is immediately like shown. So when it comes to designing a website, one should give a brand story, like a form of storytelling. How? Let's take a look at the next slide. This is a mock-up modern website of what we did for the SME. It's actually a work in progress. It's not final. I'm not trying to say that it's the best or anything. I'm just trying to show that this is roughly how it should look like in our modern times. I'm trying to point out that a website has to have a proper navigation headers, categories. Your drop downs should only be shown when you hover over these respective tabs. And they should have minimal words as well, because people generally prefer to look at visuals rather than words because it strikes appeal to them. If it's too wordy, people may not read it and might even lose interest in your website. So this is what we want to do for the SME, to create a storytelling board, create a look and feel of how you want it to be. It is different, it is deliberate, to let people understand what we are trying to tell them, to pique their curiosity. This is essentially what marketing is all about, is to give a good story, a good packaging, so whenever people purchase and receive their goods, they will be like, wow, the packaging looks great. Yeah, that's the kind of reaction that we want to get from our customers. In that sense, people will feel that the product actually becomes very valuable, even though the product maybe is actually just an affordable or of a lower price. People will think that they actually pay for the perception and value. That's all from me. And now I shall pass the time to Yiling.
Thank you, Roy. Hi, everyone. I'm Yiling, and moving on, I'll be talking about social media and e-commerce platform that we have adopted. So firstly, for social media marketing, we will need to define our social media marketing metrics to measure our effectiveness. So the common metrics for normal posts on various platforms is engagement level, which can be computed by multiplying the number of likes, shares, and comments garnered. And other metrics like impression and click-through rate will be used more frequently for paid advertisement. So just in case you don't know, impression refers to the number of times advertisement or posts viewed by other users, and click-through rate refers to the number of clicks received divided by the total number of times your post is viewed. And then subsequently, what makes people want to follow you or share your content? So a good photography will definitely help in garnering attention. And this is why we have set up our own photo booth for this project. And also, remember Mr. Jimmy said that people are on social media to connect with each other. So on the social media platform, we behave like a human instead of a business, to befriend with other users on social media. And we will also perform social listening to observe our customers' preference, fear, and challenges through private messages, comments, or emoji reacted to our activities as well. And with social listening, we can stimulate our engagement with users by interacting with them and cater our marketing activities according to their preference. For example, if our customer frequently mention a certain product feature they would like to see in our product, then we might consider to include that in our next product launch. And for our project, we have chosen Facebook and Instagram because our target audience is mainly the millennials who are aged between 25 up to 44. As you can see from the chart, which were mentioned by Professor Jimmy earlier on, the millennials occupy the highest percentage on both of these platforms. Also, we are very familiar with these two platforms, and since we use it in a daily basis, so this is like the lowest hanging fruit for us to kickstart our social media marketing. And for the e-commerce platform, we have compared Lazada, Q10, and Shopee. And our final decision is to go with Lazada, as they have great marketing effort on the platform, lower fees of 2% as compared to the other websites, and they have more delivery partner options for us to choose from in the future. And even though the ease of setting up, you can see, is medium, which is slightly harder than the other two platforms, but they have live chat which seller can use to reach out to whenever they face an issue when they're setting up the stores. And also, all the platforms actually, they have a seller university for to provide onboarding materials for sellers to self-learn. And this is really useful because it guides us on how their logistical and payment solution works step by step. And this is something that we learn out of the textbook. And then this is how we will perform the cross-platform connectivity on Instagram and Facebook. And firstly, for Instagram, we'll be able to direct our user to our Lazada shop through sponsored posts, sponsored story, and account bio. And if viewers are interested in our business, they can simply click on the Learn More button here for sponsored post and sponsored story, or the link in the account bio to go to our Lazada website. And then for similarly, Facebook, they also have sponsored ad, original post, and about page. They can include external link to lead our visitors to our website. And moving ahead, because without us, our attached company, they will actually focus on acquisition and growth. So our job here is to make use of digital tools to help them to build brand awareness. Even so, we are only doing digital implementation, not a transformation yet. So moving on, we hope that we can help our SME to be more digitally transformed as well, so that they can make use of digital tool not only for brand awareness, but also incorporate technology in their daily operation to deliver greater values to their customers. With that, we would like to end our sharing session, and I would like to return the time back to Professor Jimmy.
Hi, am I online? Okay, so thanks a lot, Eileen and Roy. Okay, so one thing just want to highlight is that this particular store is really selling pots and pans, I told you. And if you go down to any HDB ground floor, they're exactly like that, right? So think of the potential right now, as in, how many stores are there at the ground floor of HDB? Most of them, I would think, doesn't have a digital presence. So think about how, the small little step can be used to help in that digital implementation, and then slowly you move towards transformation. And there's a picture in which you see the students at that warehouse. What are they trying to do? Because we are realistic. You want to create and craft a story, a brand story. You can't simply take all the products in the store, because not every single product matches their target segment. Roy and Ealing is targeting a younger generation who's looking at a particular kind of household wares. So, and they're trying to create a theme around it. I can't review too much because to protect the business of this hardware store, what I'm trying to do is to make a disconnect. Remember, I told you that when I go down to the Tambunet building and I saw what the warehouse looks like, my impression, my perception of the original brand kind of like got tarnished. Okay, so what Yiling and Roy is trying to, we're not trying to bluff consumers, but this is what marketing is, because to a consumer, perception is reality, right? So I'm not going to show you the warehouse, but I'm going to show you the online shop, and from there we create a story to engage. But Yiling and Roy also needs to be aware that while advertising, their job is also to maintain that relationship with the customer after the first acquisition process. How do you grow? How do you create the brand? Okay, so again, with that, I'll hand over to Mark and Zishen to talk about an F&B business and what they have done so far.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Let me just share my screen.
All right, may I begin? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark, and I'm here with my colleague Zishen. So we are from Mian Fusion Noodle Bar, and we are here to share with you a bit on how we conducted our social media implementation for Mian. So firstly, let me give you a brief company background. So Mian is a relatively new company, and it means noodles in Mandarin. So Mian is a fusion noodle brand that aims to serve globally inspired noodle dishes with a twist, hence the fusion part. So we as a brand, right, we want to invite the people of Singapore to come and share in our appreciation for noodle culture. So you can find us on mian.sg, that's our website, and at miansgp for Instagram and Facebook. So moving on to our company and marketing objectives. So depending on the situation for each company, the marketing objective might differ. For Mian at least, we are considered a new brand. Therefore, the problem that we are facing is lack of awareness. Therefore, we are going to focus mainly on brand awareness. Now, Mian mainly operates using a ghost kitchen concept whereby there is little focus on the dine-in area. Instead, it is catered mainly to delivery orders, and this is the first of our locations at Tampines Food Co. Now, this is our second location at 802 Upper Serangoon, and it is purely delivery and pickup. So there is completely no dining allowed. It is located more centrally so that we are able to cater to island-wide customers. Now, moving on, for our social media implementation, we are focused on three different aspects, and these are mainly engagement, collaboration, and insights. Now, the reason why people use social media, as mentioned before, is to have fun, obtain information, as well as build social connections. Now we have leverage on this, right, through focusing on audience engagement as well as collaborations with various parties. And by using these two functions, we are able to optimize our content to match what customers are interested in, and this will therefore push brand awareness and build the brand. Now, lastly, for insights, it is very crucial to monitor how one is doing on social media so that you can have a better understanding of what your consumers like, how they behave and react to certain information. And it allows you to reflect on how effective your social media campaigns are. We will talk more about this later. So firstly, for engagement, right? Mian aims to target the younger profiles and the younger generations. So we have to match our content to this targeted audience, and we have to make the captions more lively, use more related hashtags, focus on the aesthetics that younger profiles, younger generations will likely be attracted to. Also, we use Instagram stories, which are mainly used by the younger generations, and this will all help extend our reach. So far, what we are doing is cross-posting, whereby we sync content across both platforms. For example, when we post on Instagram, the posts are usually cross-posted onto Facebook, so the people on Facebook can see as well. So yeah, moving on. Here are some of the photos that we have posted in the last few months. Some of our dishes from Mian. And next, we are still relying on organic traffic and reach instead of using sponsored or boosted posts, meaning there is little paid advertisements for Mian. And luckily for us, right, we had a micro influencer over here, Sean, his name. His Instagram handle is @lavita. He shared a post about Mian's ramdon, which is a dish from the famous Korean movie Parasite. And just from this one post alone, right, we managed to get 119 new accounts and made 214 interactions in one day. So what happened was he ordered a few dishes from us, found them delicious, and decided to mention us and tag us in his stories. So we have to leverage on these kinds of opportunities, and we decided to take this opportunity to repost and also thank him for the support. And we garner a lot of attention as a result. So we tried our best to respond to all sorts of comments and posts targeted at us. And this allows us to show that we make time for our customers and that we value their opinions. And this creates an opportunity for us to build a good relationship with them and therefore build loyalty as well. So these posts are user generated, and it gives us a chance to leverage on it to give ourselves more exposure and more legitimacy in a sense. Yeah, now I'll be passing my time on to Zishan to talk about the collaborations that we have done.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So moving on to collaborations. So we actually worked with a micro-influencer called Bud Travels the World, and their unique selling point or USP would be the toy, as you can see here, which appeals emotionally to audiences because it looks fun, it looks cute, exciting, which is also something that Mian wants to achieve or go for in terms of brand personality. So we actually sent a few dishes to them, delivered them personally with our founder, Edward. And in the next few days, they actually featured us and gave us feedback for the dishes that we sent them. And significantly, we did notice increased profile visits and also essentially your click-through rates to your final landing page. And we also tend to engage with more of these micro influencers in the future to leverage on their followers and also for exposure. And next up would be the What If Foods collaboration. So What If Foods is actually an initiative that aims to promote healthy food and beverage alternatives. And really excited to collaborate with them to launch like a limited time menu of 2 dishes, which we'll show you later on. And process was just tasting for the product development part. And then after that, once more or less it was confirmed, we came out with a marketing timeline and are currently executing it. Includes like pre-launch, current situation, giveaways, and also plans post-launch. And the reason why we work with them or chose to work with them is because they have a positive and sustainable brand image. And they also have collaborated with like bigger industry players like DBS and also engaged influencers. And we thought it would be a good opportunity for us to actually leverage on this for brand exposure and at the same time bring life to their noodles filled with health benefits. And as part of our collaboration, yep, these are the dishes. Your dried laksa as well as mentaiko dish. And we hosted a giveaway, which is still ongoing, to engage our consumers and raise brand awareness for both parties. So we leverage on their followers to gain traction. And with this campaign itself, we managed to increase our number of followers from 102 to 115 in just 2 days. And of course, we'll foresee our brand gaining more attention through this beneficial collaboration. The numbers are still small, but start small. So this presents an opportunity for us to actually build relationships with these new potential customers or followers, so to say, and hopefully they will eventually be converted to actual sales down the sales funnel. So aside from that, due to our collaboration with What If Foods, we managed to get attention from the public through a feature on CNA, Channel News Asia, as an F&B partner. In the latest episode of Money Mind, Business Unusual, episode 3, Food for Thought, it details how companies are coping with their supply chains during the pandemic. And we are very fortunate to be featured as their F&B partners. So you actually may catch this feature on CNA's website if you're interested. So CNA visited Mian to record footages of us cooking up the dishes from the collaboration and also interviewed Mian's founder, Mr. Edward Lim, on the challenges faced during COVID-19 and reasons behind the collaboration. And lastly, as mentioned earlier, it's very crucial to monitor how you are doing on social media. So brands can have better understanding of what consumers like, how they behave or react to certain information. And it's also a reflection of how effective your current social media efforts are. So in this case, the post on the CNA feature has the most amount of reach as compared to other posts. And as you can see, majority of our content are organic. After the episode was broadcasted, there was an increase in number of page viewers to official website, and our social media marketing insights on the CNA post reflected an increase in reach as well. So people who saw the feature on CNA were likely to turn to Google search engines or their respective social platforms to conduct information search. This is where inputting our URL or Wix website into our profile bios can allow customers to easily access our final landing page, making it very convenient and at the same time increase brand awareness. Connecting or linking these sources, right, makes it easier for audiences to access. As you can see, the link in our bio enables audiences to click into our post and is linked to our website and as well as the feature on CNA. And then the more specific insights, right, will include content interactions, follower breakdowns, including age groups, gender, the times these audiences are most active at. Allows us to actually know what will be a good time to post to attract or increase visibility of a post. Especially it's quite difficult when Instagram revamped their algorithm, only showing like the latest post. And if audiences don't opt for like notification bell or anything, it's very hard to increase visibility. So the final insights you see here are the follower breakdowns from Instagram as well as Facebook. And then over here reflects the reach of each post, post clicks, reactions, comments, and shares of each post. Tracking each can actually tell you what audiences like to see or prefer to see, which will help us to calibrate our future content to match the target audiences. Of course, we will start exploring different content for the respective platforms, or in this case, match the nature of the platform to our audiences. So with that, these are our key takeaways. So to implement a healthy and sustainable social media ecosystem, first you have to define who your target audiences are and how you want to appeal to them, plan your content to maximize your audience engagement and align with your brand image. And lastly, to analyze, consistently check your insights to understand what works or what doesn't work, or improve from there. And with that being said, thank you so much. And this, I have to pass the time back to Professor Jimmy.
All right, so in fact, I'm actually fulfilling my earlier dream. I remember I just said that when I did my MBA, I wanted to start a consulting company, right? So this is my mini pro bono consulting company consisting of 4 partners, okay? So I think they've done a great job. In fact, you know, my job really basically to help lead them into the company to iron out all the hiccups and logistic issues. Of course, there are also various insights from myself, and we have weekly discussion to actually talk about what they're doing at work, what is some of the obstacle. And I hope that the members of the audience can actually see that what they're doing here is more than just implementation. They have the implementational skills. They know where to suss out information. They know where to click, what interface to go into. They also right now try to focus on the branding aspect, which is what they learn in school through social media marketing classes. So in this approach, I try to kind of blend both in as well, because basically it's what SUSS try to focus on. This is what they call applied learning, to kind of marry the both aspect, theory with reality. Okay, so on this note, I'm going to start taking questions, and I think there's a couple of questions here. I think there's a question that comes in that says, does SUSS offer good interns? Yeah, of course they offer good interns. Okay, excellent interns. Now, I'll be very pragmatic and very honest with you. Okay, I think not just SUSS, most of the university, they do offer good interns. But the main thing that you want to focus on, do they have a good supervisor? All interns, okay, go through what they call a career development office. They have a so-called advisor that goes through grading to grade whether they pass or fail the attachment or the internship. But what is also important is, do they have a faculty who's interested and keen and know about social media marketing to guide these students along? Because after all, these students are really students. So they need to kind of like, you know, basically a guiding hand to help lead them in. And once they're in, let them make mistakes, let them, hopefully small mistakes, okay, that's where the faculty comes in, let them grow and let them have a free play. You'll see the returns in very magical ways. Many of, okay, Zishan and Mark for Mian, they didn't seek actively for the influencer. They never even talked to CNA, but the opportunity will come. Once they come, okay, Mian has the resources because they borrowed to leverage on that, latch on it, and let it run. So that is the upside. When I say, once you have an ecosystem, right, there is an interaction effect. You don't know what opportunity to come knocking. That is exciting when it comes to social media marketing, okay? I think there's other questions that is, how can I borrow help? Okay, well, one way, look out for internship from university, even from polytechnic, right? I think this is where you borrow. Again, boils down to these people whom you're borrowing help from, okay, do they have someone to guide them along? I think that will be interesting and very important as well, okay? I think someone said with regard to TikTok, do you think the lack of content regulation matters? Pretty much young kids is posting dance videos and nonsense, right? But by the way, okay, Digit, let me quantify. Nonsense to us may not be nonsense to them. It is entertainment, okay? So in fact, for all the audiences, for all the members of audience today, try to have a TikTok account. It is actually very entertaining. I know I tried to kind of like sensationalize a bit, saying that it's all kids doing nonsense stuff. It's not. There are also adults doing nonsense stuff, which is quite funny, okay? And I like to look at pets. There is an algorithm inside, it will show you what you want to see. So there are a lot of photographs and cute videos about pets, cute little dogs and things like that. Think of the upside when you're running a pet shop. Okay, I think it would be a perfect platform because you get to reach out for people who are in the same mind looking for the same video. You like to look at cars, you just Google, on TikTok, just look for cars under the hashtag and you start showing you a lot of videos on cars, tires and things like that. So TikTok at the beginning, yes, started off as just funny stuff, but it has evolved. All right. Do we have a question for one more? Okay, one last question. As a founder, as a startup founder with very limited time, upon should have focus or shift towards marketing? And when we do, is it important to focus on website or social media platform? Okay, it's an ecosystem, right? As a founder and a startup of a company, I guess what you want to do is focus on acquisition, correct? Because acquisition is survival. Once you have some build yourself a short runway, okay, then reinvest some of these resources into website and social media platform, because they come as, as a synchronized pair. You can't have a website. I mean, you have a website, but no social media to kind of pull the traffic in. It's pointless. You have social media platforms, but no website. Where is it going to be your landing page, right? So these are some of the things you have to consider as well. Okay. Yeah, I guess our time is up. I'm going to hand the session over back to Tammy for her wrap up. Thank you.